Thank you, Speaker. I support the motion, although I'm also a member. Speaker, this will be an important session. If there's a time, Mr. Speaker, you require some thick skin, it's this session. If there's a time you require prayer, it's this session. If there's a time there will be hostile takeovers, it's this session. If there's a time there will be mergers, it's this session. If there's a time parties will split, it's this session. And Speaker, we'll be calling upon you to guide us. Mr. Speaker, I don't know whether you mentioned that Senator Orengo and I got a favorable ruling last week in your favor and in favor of this House, and we would like to exploit that ruling to the fullest extent possible. A lot of these members, Mr. Speaker, have spent a lot of time drafting bills, and Mr. Speaker, this will be a good opportunity for these members to get their bills signed into law. Mr. Speaker, the 23 bills which you have agreed with Speaker Mutula and others that are pending, Mr. Speaker, this will be a great opportunity, Mr. Speaker, for those bills to be tabled and, Mr. Speaker, for those bills to be passed into law as quickly as possible. I was going to suggest, Mr. Speaker, that a session amongst us is important, outside cameras, where we can agree on our work. Mr. Speaker, we can find a budget, and the clerk is here, for a retreat, for particularly the bills. Mr. Speaker, we must sit down and craft a time frame for work, because somewhere in the middle of this session, there's going to be politics, and we will not be able to work. And it's important, Mr. Speaker, that we clear the most urgent business as quickly as possible. Mr. Speaker, I'm going to request and follow up on what Senator Wetangula said. There are people in the executive who are taking you and us for granted. We spend a lot of time here discussing revenue sharing formula and money, etc., etc. When Treasury publishes BPS without consulting leadership, it's nearly insubordination. The take or leave that has been the theater of every division of revenue is being repeated again, so that they start painting Senate as the people who are anti-development, anti-handshake, and all those things. Whilst ideally they should have consulted us in advance. Mr. Speaker, by the time this bill, the BPS is tabled, because I can assure you, Mr. Speaker, I will not whip for members to pass 326. I will sit here and wait for it to fail. It will not happen. They will not agree. After the effort that we put in last year, Mr. Speaker, it's important that Treasury consults the leadership of this House or sits with us, members of this House. They cannot appear to take us for granted. And therefore, Mr. Speaker, another round of consultation is necessary for yourself and the top leadership, if not SBC, to sit with Treasury, sit with the executive and tell them what they are attempting to do is attempting to push through a camel through the eye of a needle. It will not happen. And it's going to be very dangerous, it's going to be very smoky, it's going to be very cantankerous, and there will be many casualties. And therefore, Mr. Speaker, before we get to that stage, I would urge we find a better method of dealing as opposed to what we ended up dealing here, Team Kenya, Team Everything, Kangata, and whatever, one man, one shilling, all those things that were said here by Senator Cherargei and others. I don't think we should repeat those mistakes again. Thank you, Speaker.
Senator Cherargei.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. On a light touch, I hope Senator Mutula Kilonzo Jr. is aware of consequences of going